I'm 73. A confession you need to hear. When I was a boy, my father took me to a river and taught me how to skip stones. He showed me the angle, the wrist, the follow-through, the tidy little ritual of making something heavy fly a little while and then sink. You don't get it right the first time, he said. You throw too hard, or you don't watch the spin. You try to control it. The stone only cooperates when you let it go. For 30 years, I tried to control everything else the same way. My career, my marriage, my reputation, my future. I learned the angle. I polished the wrist. I followed through. I measured every throw against a ledger, promotions, savings targets, home improvements, trophies on the shelf. The life I built looked impressive on paper. It was the sort of life other people admired. I gave speeches about discipline at office retreats. I wore the suit that matched the corner office.
Then, when I was 52, my heart decided to disagree with my plan. It happened in a conference room that smelled of coffee and printer toner. We were arguing over the phrasing of a report when a pressure rose behind my sternum like a tide. The fluorescent lights wavered. My colleague finished a sentence, and my mouth trembled, but no sound came out. I remember thinking, irrationally and calmly, that if I stood up and walked, everyone would see. Better pretend it's nothing. Then the room was a blur, and the world went into a slow, merciless theater. My chest tightened as if someone had wrapped a belt around my ribs and turned the buckle. I remember the blade of light that fell across the tabletop and the sound of a chair scraping. I remember a voice calling my name, and then a darkness like a curtain. I woke up in a hospital bed to a woman I had known for 30 years kneeling at my side, her face a map of inches I had never studied before. Tubes, beeping machines, a floral curtain, the smell of antiseptic. My own hands, small, unfamiliar, holding at nothing.
The doctors said I was lucky. Lucky, they repeated in clinic tones. Lucky that I hadn't gone that day. Lucky that the artery unclogged in time. Lucky that we could patch and mend. Lucky. Those 3 syllables planted a tiny, relentless seed. Lying there, the hum of the machines keeping count of my breath, I realized I had been playing a different kind of fool's game. I'd been banking on time that wasn't mine to spend. If I had died that afternoon, what would have been left of me? A professional reputation that would afford someone a footnote in a firm's history? A perfectly maintained lawn? A drawer of commendations nobody read? I pictured a small cardboard box of my possessions ending up in someone's garage sale. And more than anything, I pictured faces. A wife who had waited at bedside counts. A son who had phoned me from a dorm room asking for advice I didn't give because I was always busy. A brother whose call I had put off because the quarterly forecast was due. What stung more was not the bare things, but the quiet accounts, the dinners I missed, the concerts I said next year to, the conversations I postponed that were easy to postpone because later seemed infinite. After that day, I began to take inventory of the unlit corners of my life. Not the obvious things you hear on TED stages, follow your passion, but the small, stubborn truths that live between the spreadsheets and the birthday cards. Lesson 1, the future is not a savings account you can withdraw from at will. Time is not an interest-bearing asset. It's perishable. Once spent, it cannot be recovered.
You can move money and choke out your budgetary anxieties. You can't move 20 minutes back to your son's graduation or fast forward through a year of your mother's illness. The microscopic decisions compound. The just one more project will translate into a string of absent Sundays, forgotten jokes, and apologies that collect like dust.
Lesson 2. Success is a mirage that fuels itself by giving more reasons to chase. I had been taught to measure life by upward movement, more responsibility, more income, more recognition. The problem was never the achievement itself. It was the assumption that achieving would finally satisfy. For a day or two it did. Then the horizon moved. The metric that once meant meaning became over time a mechanism that denied it. Lesson 3. Relationships are living things. You prune them, you water them, or they become brittle. My father and I had a complicated map: pride, resentment, silence. He died when I was 45, a sudden collapse, an event with the kind of brutal finality you can only call finite. We never had the long conversations I promised myself we'd have once I was less busy. Those missed words were not undone by grief. Grief simply sharpened their absence.
I changed things in practical, almost tediously ordinary ways. I refused promotions that would have padded my ego and shrunk my evenings. I started saying no more quickly and yes more carefully. I scheduled vacations and actually took them. I learned to cook a few simple meals and to be present while eating them. I went to my son's school plays without checking my phone. I wrote letters that I might have otherwise sent as thoughtless texts. I forgave people whose memory had been a heavy stone in my chest. I learned that apologies can be small and vivid and unspectacular and still fix you in a way suits and speeches never did. People often imagine such changes as dramatic epiphanies, packing a bag at midnight and moving to a foreign country. That works for a few, and I admire them. But for most of us, it is the accumulation of micro-choices, taking the long route home to speak to a neighbor, declining another board meeting to watch your daughter's test recital, fixing the roof yourself on a Saturday instead of outsourcing it as a task to be bought and commodified. The moral is not in one grand surrender. It is in the patient editing of how you spend your minutes.
I made promises to myself and, clumsily, to those I loved. I made them concrete. Sunday dinners became sacred. Phone calls once a week became not optional, but as mandatory as brushing my teeth. I installed a photo album on the coffee table, full of tactile memories we could flip through instead of a slideshow we'd forget. I started to maintain a list of experiences rather than a running tab of liabilities and assets. The list included a trip to Japan I'd always dreamed of, learning to play a simple melody on the piano, and finally writing the short memoir I had whispered to myself in hotel rooms between client meetings. Those items seemed small when measured against quarterly goals, but they rounded me into something that could be enjoyed. And here is a truth I did not expect. When you begin to live this way, your priorities will conflict with people who still believe in the old currency. There are colleagues who will look at you as if you had become impractical. Family members who will mistake your new boundaries for neglect. You will lose friends who valued you only for doing favors at midnight or for the status of your invitation list. That's painful, but it's also clarifying. You will, in turn, befriend people whose eyes meet yours and do not judge the value of your life by your title. They will be the ones who show up when the plumbing breaks,
the ones who remember your favorite imprecise story about skipping stones. Let me tell you about Anna. Anna was 62 when I met her at a community art class, a Monday evening group of people painting still lifes badly and laughing worse. She had been an accountant most of her life. She wore the same sensible cardigan every week and had a laugh that sounded like a coin falling in a fountain. She had never married, she had no children, and yet in conversations that often stretched into nights, Anna had a ledger richer than mine, because she had, through small gestures and steady curiosity, built a life that made room for astonishment. One night, over lukewarm tea, she told me about a trip she had taken alone to a small island where the road ended and the world felt very simple. "I went because an old friend sent me a postcard," she said. "I thought, why not? I had the time and the courage. I sat on a rock and watched fishermen and a boy who could dive like a gull. It was only a week, but when I came home, I felt like something inside me had been rearranged." "I envy that," I told her, and confessed to my habit of postponing. She smiled and said, "You aren't late, you're just running out of excuses." Her words cut and consoled. They were absurdly practical and eloquently true.
There are a handful of things I have watched happen to people I loved that will always be branded on my heart. My friend Mark, the entrepreneur who built his company like it was a fortress and his family like it was a room he used occasionally. He had money enough to buy an island, but not the time to understand his children. He died the way many men with brittle hearts die. Late, hurried, with a calendar full of calls. At his funeral, I watched his son place a watch on top of his father's casket, a bitter, awkward symbol of time that cannot be given back. My brother, who took a bus to see me the week I came home from the hospital, and whom I had been too tired to visit at his own wedding, died without my voice in his ear telling him I loved him. That memory is a perpetual ache. It teaches me daily to pick up the phone. If you are young and you hear this and you think that's what happens when you're old, know this: age does not inoculate you against regret. Age simply amplifies it because its ledger grows heavier. The younger you are, the more generous the future seems. That generosity is real. It enables risk and learning, but it can also mask one of the most ordinary and devastating mistakes: believing you have forever. So, what do you do with this knowledge? What are the operations of a life lived intentionally?
First, inventory compassion. Who in your life is waiting? Who has left a message you keep meaning to return? Don't treat this like a chore. Treat it like a kindness you can practice daily. Call the person who once made you laugh until you cried. Ask them a real question and listen until you understand the rhythm of their speech. Second, create a small, sacred list of experiences. Make it physical: a notebook, a drawer, a note on your phone. Include things that feel both achievable and meaningful. Maybe it's as modest as learning to cook one new recipe for someone you love. Maybe it's as audacious as a flight across an ocean. The point is not the grandeur of the item. The point is that you make a plan and follow it. Third, measure less and feel more. If you track everything by outcomes, you will get very efficient at producing outcomes and very bad at noticing joy. Metrics are seductive because they are clear. Feelings are messy because they are interior. Don't outsource your inner life to spreadsheets. Fourth, practice small acts of courage. Courage is not always dramatic. It's the call you make to say you're sorry. It's the afternoon you choose play over extra work. It's learning a new tune on a neighbor's piano and laughing at yourself when your fingers fumble. Each small courage makes the next one easier. Fifth, forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve a lighter heart. The bitterness of carrying grievances is a tax on the life you have left. I forgave more because I realized every resentment was an unnecessary weight. The world is full of people who have done harm. Forgive them to make space in yourself for the people who deserve your attention. Finally, tell the people you love what they mean to you. Say the words, write the note, leave the voicemail you think sounds too sentimental. The embarrassment you fear is trivial compared to the consolation those words will offer when time becomes scarce.
I still have faults. I still miscalculate. I still get a meeting request and the old automatic reflex to accept rises like a cough. But I have learned to listen to the interior alarm that once sounded only in hospitals. When my chest tightens with the guilt of neglect, I do something about it. I call, I travel, I write, I play, I attend. And when my grandchildren climb on my lap and tangle themselves in my beard, I do not check the time. I let the minutes be whatever they are and not mine to sell. You might be thinking this is a sermon, and perhaps it is. It's also a report from a life that made some beautifully adolescent assumptions and later, painfully, gratefully, unmade them. The map I drew in my 20s was precise and wrong. The life that followed my heart event was ragged, slower, and fuller in ways I couldn't have measured at 30. If this story has a final plea, it is simple. Don't wait to be wise. You don't need to have your hair gray to see what matters. Practice it now. Say what you need to say. Book the flight. Repair the fence. Sit at the kitchen table and listen until you can hear the life of another person. Let the list of your experiences grow longer than the list of your possessions.
I am 73. I do not claim to be an oracle. I claim only to be someone with a small urgency that I used to call anxiety and now call clarity. I am finishing a book that is short and honest. I take more walks than I did 10 years ago. I forgive faster than I used to. I call my sister in the middle of the day just to tell her I am thinking of her. I still make mistakes, but the mistakes matter less because the opportunities to make amends are more immediate. If there is one practical thing I would like you to do after hearing this, it is this: open your phone right now and send one message you have been putting off. It can be 3 words. It can be a single sentence. It can be awkward. Do it anyway. Life, in the end, is not a ledger of victories. It's a set of small, luminous interactions that look utterly ordinary until you lose them. Don't spend your years building the perfect house of achievements and then forget to live in it. Move through the rooms, light the lamps, invite people in, skip a few stones, let some sink, and celebrate the ones that skip. When my father taught me to skip stones, he never told me that you spend the rest of your life trying to make the ripples count. I didn't need him to tell me that. I needed to feel it in the hospital bed when the world had been narrowed down to the measurement of my breath. So if you are listening, take the small step you've been postponing. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. You won't be younger later. The clock is ticking. Make something of the time you are given.